Hello, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming on Thursday night. This is the Sashiko Live Streaming where I do the Sashiko stitching while talking about Sashiko. I don't want to make it like a webinar or a tutorial, so if you could bring something to stitch with, that'd be great, so we can make it more like the place to stitch together to be. That's what I want to make for this Thursday night. It might be 1 hour, it might be 1 hour and a half. I did not bring any topic today, and it's sad to say, but I'm a little bit, I'm not gonna say angry, but maybe angry. I don't think I'm an angry person, but if I have to describe my feeling right now, it's probably angry, and I'll talk about it as well today, but I did not bring any topic today. So if you have any questions, if you have any theme for me to talk about, that's very appreciated. Okay, I will change the camera. Sorry. Hello. Thank you so much for coming. Just a second. Let's change the camera. Yo. Another week is almost, well, let me check the audio actually. I did not check the audio. Check the audio. I think it's okay, but, there we go. Yoいしょ. Hello. Yoいしょ. I will try to explain today. I did not bring any topic. I was not really... Well, I was going to actually think about it before I come to this live streaming, but it ended up with spending time a little bit somewhere else, so... and it is probably very important to talk about, and this is probably what I have to fight through in this life. Since I am going to continue Sashiko stitching for my life, this is something I have to always fight against, or that's not something I should be compromising. The topic is that many people come to my account saying that they were misunderstanding Sashiko. I just wrote the Instagram post actually to make my brain clear, and there are a lot of misunderstanding of Sashiko in English, or even in Japanese. There are a lot of misunderstanding, and again, it's not wrong. Those misunderstandings are not wrong. It's just not fully enough. And it's probably the matter of understanding a different way. So misunderstandings are okay. Misunderstanding is okay. And I'm here to provide the other understanding so that it's going to be fulfilled. And also, not knowing is also okay in my understanding. You know, we all start from not knowing, right? It's not possible. We all start from somewhere, so not knowing is okay. And misunderstanding and not knowing, those two are really not a problem to me. And sometimes they misunderstand. They misunderstand that I'm upset about their misunderstanding or not knowing. I am not upset, or I'm not angry about it. One thing, though, I have to really fight back is the rejection, or if I rephrase it, intentional ignorance. Not knowing or ignorance itself is okay. Like, we don't know things. But when it becomes intentional, then it's something I have to speak up. And, you know, long story short, Devian asked the question, so what am I angry at? What angers me? I am actually angry at myself. I think I'm angry at myself. I'm really angry to myself for expecting something which I knew that it wouldn't be a good idea, but I kind of forgot again. I'm stupid. I don't really. I want to think that I learned from by mistake, but I didn't. In this case, explained that I did not learn from my mistake. So I repeated it in a way, the same way. And, never make the same mistake. That's one absolute philosophy to be successful, right? And that's what I did right now. So I think if I completely honest to myself, I think I am angry to myself. Am I? I don't really carry the anger much, so when I don't even know if this is the anger. Might not be the anger. I don't know. It's really sad. Sad is the word for that. It's very, very sad that it will be the long journey. I have been so fortunate by surrounding those good people last 2 years or so. And I kind of forgot about it, I guess. I mean, I get a lot of DM, but not many people were attacking me in the comment involving the others. I don't mind DM because I can just ignore it, right? I don't read those things if it's aggressive. I just delete it. I don't engage. I have a choice not to engage in those. But if it's written on somewhere where everybody else can read, especially with linking somebody, that's not something I can just ignore. And I had to make myself clear on those things. And back to the original story, there are three things in the sort of the three three stages, or three attitude, or three category of the situation of understanding it. One is misunderstanding, which is because of many, many reasons, misinformation, different approach, different mindset. It's not matching. It's a misunderstanding, right? And I think that's okay, because there's a space to, space to adjust. It's miss, so by adjusting it, we can make it full understanding. And not knowing is okay because they can learn. There's a space to learn, so that's okay. But those people who reject it, I don't know what to do. And since they reject what I say or what I do, we don't really, encounter, or we don't really interact. But when it happens, I used to know how to kind of juggle those things, but for some reason this time I spent so much time that I could have used for somebody else, in those who do not really So the problem right now, the rejecting is not really rejecting to learn. They are looking for the answer they would like to hear. So if the teacher or if somebody says that it's gonna take 10 years to learn, they reject it because they want to have something in 6 minutes to 6 hours. So they don't want to learn it. They just want to get the package of what it is so that they can validate what they do. Everything is optimized, everything is packaged, everything is ready to do it, like a dinner, like a frozen dinner. TV dinner, we call that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when we talk about more deep stuff like my account, expecting that can be very disrespectful and sad. Again, sad. And I am angry to myself that I spent so much time on that, which I could have spent on something else. Including, last 30 minutes writing about those posts. So it's not you here who are listening right now this to deliver this message, which is always my problem. But there are people like unfortunate. This is very, very unfortunate, but they have to shape the others. They have to force the others to shape their culture or their package to fit their box, which they already have. They reject to change their box, even for temporarily, to accept something different. And if one point out that it's not gonna fit because of the form, they get upset. They get very aggressive, defensive, that I am overreacting, or I am very arrogant, or also attacking. Well, for that aggressive. So I don't know what it's called, but they expect that things should be given. And since I don't offer that, like I am offering everything I can, but if I offer it in a package, it's gonna ruin the whole point. So I don't offer the actual really easy packet. Even my online class or workshop does not offer the complete answer. I give you the complete package to start finding the answer. That's my workshop is all about, but I don't give the answer in the workshop neither. So I think that's what's happening, and I kind of forgot about it. I used to handle those people a lot. That's how I learned the word cultural appropriation. Like there were so many people, nice people, generous people, offering me sort of like an education for that matter, lessons. I did not know anything about those things until 2019. And I just, I was honest to say that I don't know anything about that. I just don't know what's going on right now. And multiple people suggested a lot of reading material, which was difficult to read, but I think I'm catching up somehow. Some of the word may not be comfortable for you to listen, and I am trying to be careful about those things, and I try to not use those things. And moreover that I do not 100% agree with the concept of cultural appropriation. But there are people who actually violate those things, and it's very rare to interact those people on the surface. I don't know what happened, but they vanished. They of course do it on a DM or behind my back. I don't know, but it was very. It has been a long time since I had it last time, and I should have just blocked it. I knew how to block it, but since it was a very long time ago, I kind of engaged in sort of helping her for that. And that was a big mistake. Anyway. They sound entitled and narrow-minded. Yeah, it's a very small amount of people. It's not really you or they. Like they is a very big word, but it's very few people that not even few. In this case, one. So we had not a lot, but we had a group of people back then. But we can only change ourselves. We rarely are able to change spouse or family. So for just the person on the internet, you just have to let it go. I am letting it go. So I'm not really upset to her because that's meaningless. I feel sad for her, but that doesn't mean that I should be upset about it. But I am upset. I'm angry at myself for repeating the same mistake It takes energy though, There's so many people who are willing to learn what Sashiko is, and why did I spend so much time on that person? It's just, I feel it's unfair, and I did very stupid things for that. So that's what was going on, I guess. Not I guess, that's what was going on. And I think you can find them on the Instagram if you want to. I don't delete things. That's one thing I'm really proud of. I don't delete. In fact, I try to screenshot because I don't know if I am right or not. I might learn that I was wrong, and for me everything is like a learning things. Especially communication in English, everything I do is learning. My Sashiko is absolute, so I will not change the form when they say they want to learn the Japanese Sashiko. I will not change the form, but everything else is new. Like, it's very much me trying to change it. So it's a good lesson for me to do that. It's very difficult to do, but I try to focus on the positive things and people in life and not get involved with the negative. It is hard to do though. It is really hard, and I just should let it. I mean, it's gone. There's like gone. It's done. It's done thing. And I just realized that the world is still shitty. Unfortunately, today I find an atmosphere of an inability to expect or respect different and nuanced point of view. I think you should be willing to learn throughout your life. Yeah. So there are things that I should be learning, and there's something that I should expect others to be learning. Like, everybody has two aspects, two side, two aspect, right? So one is that somebody can offer, and one somebody has to learn. And I think I'm doing that right now. So you know what? I used to get so sad or even down, like depressed down, when I receive those comments. Like, my heartbeat goes up, and then kind of sweating, shaking hand. It's not easy to be attacked by somebody I don't know. Like, those are called like anonymous negativity or something like that. I don't know what it's called, but you don't know who she is or who he is, but you receive like a series of nasty comments, and I used to feel very. I used to. I don't do anymore. I probably used to take it very seriously, like blaming myself not communicating well back then, not now. So, and many people try to help me out of that. It's not me, because the others are not feeling that way, so it's not you. So I'm okay. Just things happened. Well, shit happens. So it happened right before this, and I did not want to come here and get like fussy all the time throughout the live streaming. So I had time to think through what was going on and summarize it. And I'm here for that. I'm here for that. After that. Yeah. So like that lead to the question. That lead to the question. That lead to the question which many people become defensive. Why do you call it Sashiko? Why? Not you. Why do they call it Sashiko? Like, why do you call it if you don't care about those things? Like, if you're not willing to learn something new, why do you call it? If you're gonna look for somebody who will say something comfortable to them, like if they decided to learn from Sashiko from somebody else, that's perfectly fine. But decided to ignore what I say and learn Sashiko from somebody who will say because they will keep looking for the teacher who says something comfortable to them. What's the point of learning that? By the way, that question was a big mistake. Why do you call it Sashiko is in English considered as the accusation. So I learned that's not a good idea to say that out of nowhere. So I don't say it anymore, and I don't mean to accuse anybody. But that was a pure question, like why? Like why do you call that? I mean, I did not really understand why. I still don't understand why, but when the question came like, what do you like about Sashiko? And that was much better questions to ask to avoid the conflict. But baseline is like, why do they call it Sashiko if they don't want to even learn about that? Because of, well, I know what behind it, because of the profit, because of the other purpose. But we live in such a world. I'd recommend something called thought work to help figure out that you are neither right or wrong. Well, this channel is all about that. This channel, or even my account, is all about that. It's all about that. In fact, I think I think I talk about that every single live streaming, don't I? It's not the matter of right or wrong. Sashiko is not the matter of right or wrong, but like I myself is the matter of right or wrong based on what I reflect myself. Because I would like to do the right thing based on my belief. Does it make sense? Like I would like to be right. Like I don't want to do wrong things because that's gonna be disgrading to myself. But I don't really judge other people either right or wrong because I can't. So, do you call it Sashiko as a way of categorizing it? I don't know. I don't know why. Like, I'm perfectly fine if you call your stitching Sashiko here. Like, anybody who is listening to this live streaming, you're willing to learn. So, like, go ahead and ideally, if you could take the workshop or if you become like much closer to me, that's probably better to like you will have more support to call his stitching Sashiko. And but if you decided to call his stitching Sashiko, that's fine. I don't take it as the offensive things or disrespecting things. Unless you try to learn though. You cannot just, reject learning. Oh, Atsushi is saying something uncomfortable, so I'm not going to listen to him. Or I'm not going to, I'm going to block him, and then I will find somebody who can tell me what is comfortable. And Sashiko. And that's a little bit of... that's not okay. That's the reason I'm speaking up. But unless that, please do call it Sashiko. But for some people, I think they just want to get attention. They're looking for something to validate themselves. Like trend. That's it. Sashiko is the trend for them. Sashiko might be trend for many people, including people here. And trend itself is not bad, but Sashiko is, for them, something to use to, like, it's like accessories or something to wear, something to add to their life, I guess, for that matter. Like, this is an example, but I don't personally buy. I mean, I don't buy clothes anymore, but I used to love the high brand, like, very famous brand. Like, I didn't buy Prada. Well, I don't even know the brand name anymore. But the high brand, Hermes, Prada, Gucci, you name it. I don't personally like it. I used to love it, by the way. Those are valuable things because of those brand name and how they make it. And by getting it, the person can use that value as the sort of property or some accessory around them. So by holding the product, they can kind of increase their value. At least they can think that they increase their value. But who he is or who she is the same no matter what they has. I mean, of course, we have to define what value is. But I think like some people use Sashiko as those brand bag or something like that. It's a very fashion item. So as long as I keep saying Sashiko, it's kind of fashionable and nice or attractive. It does not matter what it is. As long as nobody is questioning what I'm doing, I am okay with that. And that's probably the mindset they have. That's why they find my account or my message very uncomfortable. They say that it's uncomfortable to listen to me. Well, why are we here? Like, why are you reading and telling me that it's uncomfortable? Just leave, is my, point. But the reason they feel uncomfortable is not because of what I said. It's because how they take it. Because there are people who don't feel uncomfortable. If I keep writing something uncomfortable, I wouldn't have so many readers. I think, by the way, that's really appreciated. I can write because I know there are people who are waiting for that. But anyway, it's a very interesting world, and well, by talking, I can reduce my anger level because I'm not angry to somebody else. I was very angry to myself. Yes. So by reframing that it was the anger toward myself, I can feel it better. But yeah, it's really interesting that Sashiko became the trend. As the result, they use it for many things, and some people would like to know what it is. The other people don't really give a f about that, and I have to swim between those rivers. As I keep saying, because I know this kind of what's going on as a whole picture, for me, if I focus on money right now, it's extremely easy to make some amount of money. I just have to offer the package. Like, that's it. They will jump on that. You might not jump on that, but they will. Because that's what they want. They want to have a certification. They want to have something that what they're doing is authentic, which I don't know what authentic is. Like, what do you mean by authentic? Like, I don't know if what I do is authentic. I'm Japanese, so it can be authentic. Well, I'm stitching right now, so it can be authentic. I know I'm not asking somebody else to do it, so I don't even know what authentic, but that's what they want. And they will pay for that. They will complain for the free information that challenge them, but they will pay for anything to validate them easily without trying. So if my goal is to make money for short term, that's probably the way to go, and that's the reason I keep saying like it's not I'm just not focusing on money. Money is important, but money is not my first focus. It's really sad, but that's the world we live in, and that's the world we have to kind of keep challenging. And if I kind of condense this sort of if I were 20 years younger, and if I can condense this frustration that why this world is like that, then I might be throwing the ketchup to something art, which is completely wrong. So don't do that. Art has no that's just wrong. I understand. I really understand their message, but just throw something else somewhere else. It can happen. Like environmental sustainability, like climate and culture, art can live together, can exist simultaneously. So it's not one or another. It's not right or wrong. It happened, right? Like the after Gogh, Van Gogh's, I cannot pronounce his name, Van Gogh. In Japanese, we call him Goho, Van Gogh, the sunflower, and then there was other painting art. It was mashed potato or something. I mean, I understand the anger, but that's not the way to do it. That's only make it worse. They should see the uncomfortableness as a sign to learn something new. That's it. Exactly. Thank you, Jade. They should question why they are uncomfortable instead of being angry at you. They can use it as a realization to learn. Exactly. So when they say like I feel uncomfortable, that's a very good sign that they're learning something new. In fact, that's what I say in my first hour on the in-person live streaming, and also the first time I have the live session. That's the first question I ask, like, is there any uncomfortableness? Because if they say, oh no, there's no, like, I feel comfortable, that's a scary sign. If they know it from before the workshop, that's perfectly fine. So I have to make sure that. But usually, when they feel comfortable, that means that they are changing the form of what I'm teaching to their own comfortable form. As the result, they're not learning something that I'm trying to pass down. So it's a very, very good sign that they say, like, well, many people feel uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, like agonizing uncomfortable. And that's how it's supposed to. I know only 2 out of almost 1,000, not like 900 something, that she felt comfortable, and that was very natural. Some people, like, there are people who feel very, very comfortable without anything, and I was not one of those, and that's fine. That's fine, and they usually can learn something new. They might sometimes find out some, uncomfortableness later on. But it's not like, it's very rare case. It's not common case. So, but at the same time, there are not that many people, or there are that it requires a lot of willingness or willingness. It requires a lot of willingness to go through those uncomfortableness, because it might continue for quite long time, not only like a few minutes or few hours. Might take years, weeks. So, but we're not designed, we're not raised to go through the uncomfortableness. Neither do I. I don't like uncomfortable thing. I don't like it. I'm trying to adjust the US culture, but something I don't like it. I'm trying. So, I started doing these things when I find some things that upset me for any reason. I take that as an opportunity to ask, why do I feel this way? And use that moment as an opportunity to self-reflect. Meh. If everybody's like that, we don't have any social issues. It's difficult. It's very difficult to do that. But if everybody can do that, we, like 99% of the problem will be solved, I guess, if we can do that, self-reflect. Like war, globalizations, or unfairness, anything can be solved by self-reflecting. The reason I keep saying, the reason I kind of declared that it can solve the problem is that self-reflect is being mindful, right? Like it's stopping it. And the Sashiko, the reason I keep saying that Sashiko is very important is that for us, Sashiko is the opportunity to stop. I mean, we stitch, so we don't really stop. But by focusing on stitching for a long time, for hours, we stop either thinking or rushing or deciding, making solution, solving it, catching up with it, hiding it. Like we have to do a lot of things in our life, and we are rushed to do it. We have to be speedy. We have to be on this same track. That's what the expectations are. But when we hold the stitch, since both of the hands are occupied, we cannot Google. What we can do is just think or listen or talk or watch. That's the moment to stop. And that's what, like, you might disagree, but I'm a big believer that human beings are decent by birth. We became sort of evil or ugly in the process by adding another value. We are decent people. If I mean, not everybody, but I don't want to generalize it, but I believe that we are decent, so things should go better way by default. which might contradict to the world right now. I know, which is contradicting to the world right now, but that's my belief, which is maybe, wow, it's so sad to say, but that's my belief. That's my belief. So if we can stop and think about it, like self-reflection, a lot of things can be cleared. Sometimes when you take a stand for your beliefs, it can be uncomfortable if you only listen to the naysayers. Sorry. Sometimes when you take a stand for your belief, it can be uncomfortable if you only listen to the naysayers. Move closer to the positive impact you have made. Oh yeah, thank you. I think I'm like a little idealist for that. Like naysayers, or we call troll, or those negative people. Many people told me, suggested me, and they will never change. And I do understand it in my brain, but I don't. I have a little bit of idealism behind it, and until the last moment, I kind of try. And that's what I'm upset about today. That's what I'm angry. Like, why did I repeat that again? Like, repeating the same mistake that's not okay. Like, I can make any mistakes, but not repeat it. Well, that's what happened, so I'm not angry to anybody else, just myself for now, for this 1 hour. I guess when you asked if we felt uncomfortable, I was thinking along the line of being physically uncomfortable. I'm open to learn new things, so mentally I was comfortable learning. Physically, what I talked about in right now today's live streaming, that I ask uncomfortableness, is physical thing, technical things. because usually people who come to my workshop are positive or are comfortable learning something new, so I don't worry about that. But the uncomfortableness I expect in my teaching is the technical things. Mental things, I expect them to be comfortable. Well, let me think. Let me remember. Did I have any person that felt uncomfortable learning something? Well, very, very early workshop, like in 2017, there was a student who kept challenging that my Sashiko is wrong. That the Sashiko I was teaching in that workshop, she kept saying like, you're teaching Sashiko wrong, and I didn't know what she was talking about. And I learned later that it was different from what she understood, what she learned. So yeah, for her it's wrong, but I did not know what was wrong back then. So I kept saying, I don't think it's wrong. I mean, if it's wrong, what is right? But for her, it was wrong because she had her own Sashiko taught by somebody else, which unfortunately could not make, she was suffering not to make beautiful stitches, so obviously it was not helpful for her. But interesting. I've been through a lot. This journey has been very, very eventful. I never expected to teach Sashiko in English, but there was no need. I don't think there was need this big before, and if there is no need, I wouldn't be able to teach. So in 2010 or so, I was not expecting this happen. It was challenging learning to hold my needle. Yeah. Yeah, it is difficult. It is challenging, and it's gonna take some time. Some people might find it easy in a week, 6 hours a week, and sometimes it takes like weeks and years. But as long as one keeps stitching, it's gonna come to their comfortableness, and when they feel comfortable, that's the answer. So, that was the Mona Lisa they threw the mashed potato. Well, we live in such a world. So I am okay. I am very okay. As you can tell, my voice is. You can tell me I'm not that good person to fake. I'm not good at faking. If it's horrible to fake. I am married to the psychologist, clinical psychologist, PhD, Jewish. So it's really not a good idea to use fake in my daily life. It's just a bad route. So what I do right now is completely be honest, which means I don't use my brain when I say those things. I mean, I use brain to explain, but when I talk emotionally, I don't fake any longer because I'm not smart enough to memorize everything. I keep saying that, but smart people remember everything. And they like, well, no, you didn't say that last time. Oops, what did I say last time? Oh, really? Well, then I have to, cover up that lies or fakeness, and then, that fakeness I made second time, I will forget about it. So that's not gonna work. No. It is like needing so many different ways to produce a stitch, but all with the same end result. It is the same. Knitting, crochet, anything is the same. Like there's no difference between Sashiko and other hand stitching besides one thing. It is Japanese. So if you are not Japanese, there gotta be something else for you to learn. Some people say if there's no difference, there's nothing to, some people say that if there's no difference, we can do whatever we want. Sure, but that's very violent because you and I are human being, the same human being, breathing in and out, say talking something like we can speak we can make sound from our mouth. So there's no difference, and I can do whatever I want. Nope. There is culture, and that's what defined us human. So there's so many similar practice, so many similar cultures, so many similar tradition. In order to protect their each identity, we have to be careful. We cannot simplify that. We cannot, because that means that we are cutting somebody's life, somebody's traditions off. We can optimize, we can cut all the waste in the business, or when we focus on the capitalism or money, of course we have to cut those loose end or waste out. But when we talk about culture, tradition, we cannot do that. I mean, we can, but we don't want to choose. I don't want to choose that route. If the whole world decided to go that way, I have to probably follow that. But I don't want to make that happen. I'll fight. Not a fight. I will resist until the end. By the way, don't ask me knitting, okay? Some people ask me like knitting and crochet and quilting. I don't expect me to be able to talk something like that. I can only do what I can do. I enjoy the process. I'm just entering the Sashiko world, organizing, supplying tools, taking times to get the project throughout and purposeful. I'm rescued sewing box. Good. Welcome back to the stitching. We can learn so many things from YouTube on any topic we choose. To expect everyone to do it the same way or for the same reason is not going to happen. Yeah. But things, well, I agree, and you're right, 100% right. But two things about learning from online or YouTube. Two things we really have to pay attention. One, who are we learning from? Because somebody is just passing down the information from right or left. There's nothing wrong with that, but he does not know anything, or she does not know anything. He or she is a good editor or good editor, or like people who edited it. And that there's nothing wrong with that, but he or she will not be able to teach deeper. Like you cannot ask her or him the question, you cannot expect the answer because they're just swinging the things from, like this, copying that. Translation is the same. It's a very important job, but it's a different, like they can teach how to translate, but inside of that contents, you should ask who, or you should be very, very careful who you're learning from, right? And the second thing is pretty much the similar thing. It's kind of related, but where's the upstream? Like, I think that's a Jewish thing, and somebody told me that it's a Jewish thing, but make sure that you are aware where that information came from. YouTube is good, or Google is good for the quick answer or quick references, but if one is trying to spread that information as teaching, then it comes with a responsibility. If you're just enjoying yourself, enjoying yourself is not a good way to say that. If you are enjoying that craft for yourself, or that things for your own purpose, there's nothing wrong with that. But of course, it's good to check those things, but Lee and D are enjoying the discussion. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna get into that. It's your field. It's, I think, knitting, right? Aye. So, but there was some not accident, some incident today, and it happened. It used to happen every week. I guess. Am I exaggerating it? I gotta ask somebody else who has been following me for like 3 years or so. It happened quite a lot. It was before my account became this big. I cannot control it anymore. I'm not controlling it anymore. But I think I remember I was doing like there was a. That's the time I learned the word emotional labor, because I told my wife like I'm so tired, but I'm not doing anything. Like why am I explaining myself repeatedly? And I think I have to do that, but it's so tiring. And she said, well, that's probably what emotional labor is. What is the emotional labor again? And I started learning what it is that. Anyway, it happened quite often, and I don't remember the last time it happened though. I mean, besides that 2 years. I don't think it happened in 2000. Well, it probably happened, but for me, it's kind of rare opportunity these days. At least it's rare to see that in public. I get a lot of DM though. DM is a completely different story, but it's the if you're gonna send me DM, be careful, okay? Like you might wanna send me the email. Like if you know my email, please send me the email. DM is a little. It's like finding a treasure in the trash bag. If I know your shape or how you shine, I can find you probably, but if I don't know you at all, the DM is not a good way because I probably won't realize it. Yep. It's really good to get the point. Thank you, D and Leah. You're getting the point. I don't want to say I understand. I don't want to say I understand what you're saying because I don't really know the knitting, but I can understand. I can expect. I can imagine that it's the same, and it is the same. So it's not about Japanese culture itself. It's just different. So what's the point? And also, there's one common thing about those people. Like they think I assume them. Yes, like they get upset when I make comment, and their reply is, "How can you assume what I say?" Or like you don't know me is the thing. Like you don't know me. How could you say that? I don't know you at all, but I know you one thing. You're not Japanese. At least you don't know Japanese culture. I mean, if you do think you know Japanese culture, please write me in Japanese so that we can talk completely different conversation. But I don't know them. I don't know them at all. But as long as we're communicating like this in English, probably you're not Japanese. Or then we're talking about Japanese culture right now. So I don't think it's assumption. It's the fact. But many people don't like assumption. They think that it's assumption. It's not assumption. Like I've been to Japan so many times, so I know about Japan. Okay. Okay. So you've been to Japan and you know about Japan. So I am a master of US right now because I've been living here for 9 years straight. Like Yeah, I can probably make a lot of swear words, like, bad word. I just don't choose to use it on my live streaming, but I can speak like more, I don't want to say native, but I can sound more natural. But I don't, because that's not respectful in my understanding. At least for me, no. This world is so interesting. Well, I mean, that's the world. That's the world we live in. I couldn't stop laughing. Like, I know Japan because I've been to Japan so many times. Okay. In fact, many people who speak Japanese fluently and who even teach Japanese in the US as the professor, they think that the more they learn Japanese, the more they think that it's impossible to learn Japanese, just Japanese. That's like they even said that I have, in order to fully understand what Japanese is, they have to go through the Japanese education system, which is the elementary school, middle school, high school. And she said that because she did not go through that, she came to Japan to study Japanese after, I think, grad school. She graduated from somewhere in the U.S., like, East Asian studies, and then she came to the Japan, took PhD, and came back here. She's been living in Japan for a long time. She was probably a professor in Japan as well. Anyway, she always say that it's like she can speak Japanese and she can learn, she can understand a lot of good part of Japanese culture. But in order to say that I know Japanese culture, one thing I am missing is the education system and it probably makes sense. It's really interesting. But so don't listen to those people who think that they know about the other culture without even going there. It's really scary thing. It's like 7 years old or 8 years old child saying, I know everything. Like, they know everything in their capacity, right? They know everything. My daughter keeps saying, I know everything. So I don't need advice. Yes, you know everything. Good for you. But that's the world she lives in. That's a healthy development. But if that's the 55 years old, that's not healthy. Unfortunately, that's not healthy. We have to know that we don't know enough. Oh my god, I'm sorry, this live streaming became like complaining, but as you can tell, when I complain, my English comes very smoothly. So, expect easier live streaming when I have a complaints. But that if I can really nasty, I probably speak better. Including the pronunciation, I will speak better when I let myself use the so-called swear word. Because that's how I learn English. As the foreigner who did not speak English at all, it's not easy to make a friend if you don't speak that language, right? The first year, it was not easy to make friend. I had a friend, but more like a smoker friends. We smoked together, but they invited their house nicely. They invited me to the party and stuff like that. But it's kind of difficult to be friend because I was not understanding what they were saying, and I could not express what I was thinking. So they treated me as the foreigner, and that was, that's okay. That's how it is. But it's not easy to learn the language by just talking. So I watched a lot of TV show, well, to kind of cheer me up as well. And that's how I learn English. And of course, I use that, something I learned, I use that in the conversation with the friends or while I'm smoking. And that repetition is the foundation of my English. So my basic is the South Park. Hartman is my sort of my teacher for that matter. You teenager. Okay, so teenage daughter can say that too. I think it's a healthy development until so-called youth is over. Like 20s, I guess. Like, those people, like including myself, I think that world is rounding around themselves. Like that's a healthy development. Like that's the very good development, and I like my daughter to think like that until this certain age. But at some point, we have to realize that we might not know everything. And that's kind of the key to find happiness. Because that's the acceptance. We accept who we are, and as a result, we can find happiness. Happiness is not something to make or create. Happiness is something to find or even realize. So it's a different kind of happiness. It's like living here. I can say I've traveled out west many times, but I would never presume to say that I understand the Native American culture. Yeah, it's happening everywhere. It's really difficult to say it. Like, I don't understand. I understand the Japanese culture. I understand the Japanese culture that I lived in. Which is different from the other people's Japanese culture, right? But they are similar. They are similar, so I can kind of make assumption that the same expectations are there. One thing I do not fully understand at all is which I really am trying to learn, is the American-born Asian, or those Japanese people who are born in the state or outside of Japan, either first generation, second generation, third generation. They have their own culture, which is similar to Japanese culture, but not similar to what I have, which probably my daughter will have. And I'm very much interested is not the good word, willing to learn the difference. There are a lot of similarities, but there should be some difference, not probably significant, but very minor, but critical. Yeah, like Japanese American. Those people have their own slightly, not significantly different, but very critical differences. And most likely they have bigger pain than us. The native Japanese are not really damaged for that matter. Especially if they don't go outside of Japan, they will probably not get damaged throughout their life, like this culturally. They're protected. They're protected by the Japanese culture and Japanese language. Like, in order to insult them, you have to learn Japanese, which is a long way to go. So, I get targeted because I am communicating in English. It's easy for them to slash talk, right? Slash talk. But if I was only sharing the Sashiko in Japanese, they will never come to me. Leah, are you vomiting? What's going on? What's that mean? And South Park it is. Good evening, I was stitching the whole shit. Yes, the borrow, and forgot about the live streaming. That's good. Forget about it, huh? Next time. Well, that's good. Talk down? Oh, hate talk, yeah. Hate talk or talk down, or even, yeah, like shit talk. Talk shit about me. I'm sorry, like, I said I'm not gonna use the swear word, but that's the exact word I was looking for, so. Asian Americans who grew up in the US lives in halfway between their Asian culture and US culture, depending on if their parents grew up in the US or in their home country. Yes, so it's a very kind of graduation. There's a degree in probably every person for that matter. So I don't want to generalize any culture yet. That's something I do not know. And one thing I can say for sure is that I did not go through any discrimination in my youth. When I was a child, no discrimination whatsoever from my perspective. There might be a discrimination from the others, but because I was the privileged side, the Japanese male is the privileged one in Japan. So it's very violent to say that there was no discrimination from my perspective, but that's what I remember. It's probably not like that, but anyway, like it's very less likely to have the experience those Japanese American, what Asian American has experienced in the U.S. So, no, I really willing to learn and respect for that matter. Like I sometimes do not agree, but I try to respect and I like to respect. Yeah, I have a person who I'm following on Instagram, and she has a very powerful message, and I learn a lot from her. Like her name is Emi-san. Account wise, Emi-san. I think it's a little Koto closet. Maybe so, maybe not. I know her name, but anyway. Alright, it has been 1 hour and a little bit. It's good time to stop. We decided when is the next Sashiko Gathering. It's November. Let me check the calendar. It's just a second. Maiko-san and I agreed on something. Just forgot about it. Maiko-san no. Just a second, okay? Okay, so November 17th. November 7th. I will write down somewhere, but November 17th at 10:30 Eastern Time. It's the Thursday, November 17th. Right after the live streaming like this, we will have the Sashiko Gathering. I will make a link to get the ticket. Anybody can come. For those who are in the private group, I will decide the time again. I want to make sure that every time zone, people from every time zone can join. So I will modify the time zone for that. But for the regular Sashiko Gathering, it's going to be happening right after this live streaming, once a month on Thursday night. So it's going to be November 17th if we can make a time for that. This has been a hard hour to sort through. Last week was hard as well. Please don't try to let the subject go. Is it my fault? Well, I mean, well, I accept. I accept. But, the goal is to Well, I accept, but don't blame on me. It is very true, but don't blame. Well, let us. Am I gonna be completely quiet? That's one way to do it, actually. Yeah, that's one way to do that. But I think it's all good that I'm. It's it has a both purpose. If you can stitch, that's great. If we wanna exchange the, you know, not information. What do you say that? Ideas. That's one way to do it. Also, so this angry thing, the anger toward myself, right? So when I have those disagreement, some people become the sort of like hater. So if you could, I mean, I've been saying like this can be a bot who keep leaving the negative reviews, negative feedback. But at the same time, I just realized I have some enemies, which I don't plan to make enemies. But by being honest, I happen to make enemies, and I do have some people who, of course, hate me or dislike me for that. So, if you could help me to keep this channel healthy by pressing the good button, that's really, really helpful. I appreciate that. What weight of the thread do you use? I use only one thread, Sashiko thread, for pretty much all of my stitching, and it's not the same as the other it's not the same as the other thread. So go to the website from the live streaming description and you can find the thread for Sashiko, and also you can find some videos here that why I keep saying that Sashiko matters. Sashiko thread matters. It's thread is the key, and it's not the weight or thickness. There's a reason, stories why thread matters. That's the answer. Okay, let me finish this much with this thread because I don't like leaving the thread. Which can be a little bit more. I will try to find the topic for next live streaming. I hope I'm not gonna start live streaming being angry. But that was fun, right? Though not a fun is not a good thing, but it sometimes is good to have those moments to think about it through. So, at least my English was pretty smoother than usual, I think. So if you have any topic for me to talk about, if you're watching this as archive as well, if you're watching this as an archive, please comment if you have any topic for me to talk about. I am reminded when I was young, early 60s, Japanese style became popular. My mom purchased Japanese style furniture, hung Japanese picture on the wall, and even fashion was influenced by it. 1960s. 1960s, huh? It's interesting. I don't know what was the style in 1960s, but it comes and goes. It really that's what we call culture. Culture is supposed to change. If it doesn't change, it's not culture. So I'm not really rejecting the change or transformation for that matter. I'm saying like I want that change to be fair or reasonable, not by somebody's violent or suppression or profit. It's okay to make profit, but that has to be reasonable. And it's come and goes. Sashiko will not be Sashiko as trend will end soon or later, in 5 years, 2 years. I don't know. At some point, it's gonna end. That's 100% sure. And I am not worried about those big brand like Nike or the other like fashion designers or fashion brand, because they will move on. They are not the people who change the culture of Sashiko, because when this I'm done for today. When this trend of the Sashiko is gone, they will move on and they will not damage the culture that significantly. They might even contribute to the culture in different way. So the point is, what's gonna be left when the trend is over? One thing I can promise is that I'll be stitching regardless, because I'm not riding on the trend, so I don't see the future that I'm not stitching the same way as I do right now. My question is, how many people are going to be stitching if the trend is gone, and if the teachers or artists or whatever they call it, if they are sure that they are stitching that 10 years from now, that's the culture too. That's the culture I appreciate for that. But many people move to the different thing, especially if somebody is moved to Sashiko from somewhere else. Let's say somebody was quilting teacher, and then if they become the Sashiko teacher in the last few years, I think most likely they will become some other teachers when the trend change. And there's nothing wrong with those changes. It's just we have to know, the student as the side who learn, we have to know that the teachers changes what they teach, and those people I consider as the guide of the hobby. So they introduce the entrance and they move on. They are different than what I do. I'm more like, I don't do guide. I don't talk about knitting. I don't talk about crochet. I don't talk about quilting. I don't even try to even teach. If I start teaching, just that's it's a bad sign. So don't please stop me. But I would like to see how many people are going to be probably those who are stitching right now will be stitching if there's no purpose, because we stitch for stitching, for the purpose of stitching. But for those who stitch for different reasons, they will probably not gonna do it, and I don't want them to change the culture more than necessary, because they will not be here in 10 years or so. Anyway, so the things changes, and Sashiko will be not the boom or trend, and then the trend might come back. Not might, trend will come back in, let's say, 50 years from now or 60 years from now. I would like to leave something for them, the people, American or Japanese, or even we might not have the borders, so we might call it human, or I don't know. 60 years from now, I don't know what's going to be happening. But I would like to make sure that I leave everything I can, so that they can figure out what is Sashiko for them. And that's the whole purpose of this live streaming, and you are the part of it, so thank you so much for coming. And I'll see you next Thursday. And happy Halloween. Don't scare people that much, because I don't like it. Like, don't scare. And that's your culture. That's the culture. So I'm not criticizing it. It's just scary. People are good. They are good. And have a nice night. Thank you so much.